I feel like now I can really be mobile and control, and I can feel it more because it's in the fine tips of like the fingers where you have like your sensitivity. Your palms are not sensitive.
Correct.
And you'll never see a faster change or improvement in your game if you can just do it right here in your chair.
Yes.
And you can see it and you can feel it. Because again, all it comes down to is getting this basic idea of takeaway, pre-impact, and post-impact right.
Exactly.
Start from there, your game will escalate.
Right. Is Clawthoria. Understand that the golf swing is 90% hands and arms. It used to be, like back in the 20s and 30s with Harry Vardon and Henry Cotton and all these guys, they were saying that it was 90% hands and arms. Where did that get lost? Like, why? Why did we lose that? How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Cause and Effect podcast, where we introduce the cause and effect relationships that exist in golf in relation to the hand-to-handle to club relationships. Episode 26, we got our compact clubs here. These launched yesterday, a part of our kind of membership program. We call it the Clawthoria Club.
Mm-hmm.
So you've seen like our crazy driving range and our crazy world that we've kind of shown in some content. That is Clawthoria. So the club that you're part of is the Clawthoria Club. And with that membership, you get a free compact club and 3 free lessons and a bunch of other stuff. So if you're not part of that membership, you're missing out.
That's right.
So appreciate everybody that grabbed a club yesterday. They will be in your hands very soon, or in your claws very soon.
Yep, that's right.
And then, we got some archive videos and a bunch of cool stuff with them. So thank you for the support we got yesterday. It really meant a lot. Everything went pretty smoothly. We had a couple like problems with the website, but for the most part, it was really good. So we're really excited. We're doing. I'm going to release a bunch of content on that membership platform. Just really kind of giving an understanding of how you can use your compact club at home, some drills, things like that.
Yep.
It's going to be really good for people. So, exciting week in golf. I mean, we had our launch yesterday. Today, Full Swing, the Netflix series launched. You already watched
I'm on episode 3. I'm on like 3/4 way through.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it tonight. Actually, we'll go watch right after we're done with this. I'm excited to watch it, but there's a lot of really good reception about it on social media.
It was cool.
And everything.
Very
Everybody,
cool.
Just like cool behind the scenes, right? Are they working on like? Do you see them on the range, like working on their swings? Oh, cool. That's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's just like a
more so in the gym.
Oh, yeah, geez.
Yeah.
Doing stuff that they probably don't need to do. They just need the claw workouts, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about, we're going to come up with some cool, like, training drills on, like, how to train your claws. And, training program, for sure. On just, like, how to train your claws, and because they are the secret.
Right, exactly.
Because if you put them on the club properly, then the club will do what it needs to do.
Yep.
You're just making life easier and golf easier.
Right.
So, so I'm excited to watch that. Excited to watch Tiger this week.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I mean, he's off tomorrow in the afternoon. He looked okay when I watched him on the range. I mean, his body, it looks like it hurts, but it probably does.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he's still got the trail hand claw though.
That's right. That's right.
It's kind of running his move right now.
Right.
Yeah. His body's like, we're done. We're checked out. Trail hand claw's like, all right, I'll take it from here.
And I think he's trying to make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible with the way it looks, and try not to let people know that he's,
it's hurting.
Again, really hurting. But
exactly. But
wish we could just preset him more and just not use his body at all.
Yeah, I would like to get his grip a little.
It'd be cool. I would like to trial our stuff with him and just see how far he would hit it, and then his opinion on it.
Yeah, just
One
like
day,
just a little stronger grip, maybe. And then just wouldn't have to use your body so much.
Presets more.
Yeah, preset in the body.
And setup. And we have to use it in swing.
By preset, what do you mean?
Putting weight more on the lead leg, pre-closing shoulders and hips a bit more, and just trying to utilize like how to hit a draw more with your hands and arms.
So getting on the side of the handle
pre-closing
more.
the body.
Got it. Okay.
So it's like in swing, you don't have to actually physically turn as much with that, which then also leads to not having to like drive your lower body as much either in the downswing.
And
you just keep yourself just basically stable. And it's almost like Brooks Koepka.
Oh, got
actually.
it. Really?
Like that's what he does. He keeps the lower body real stable, and he basically uses his upper body and his hands and arms more than almost any tour player right now. And he's a bigger guy, right?
So
it works, and it is consistent though. If you see what he's done,
and you would think like, okay, Tiger, you don't have like the best trail foot, obviously with the surgery and the accident and everything. It's like, then just don't use it.
Utilize your awesome upper body strength and your claws that you have.
So he could take a couple pages out of Brooks's book, is what you're saying, because Brooks does a really good job with keeping his feet flat-footed. And
I think it's just hard too for Tiger. Like, it's hard for him to accept that he may not be able to hit the ball like as far. Like, if you could just like come to terms, if you can hit it consistently like 280 and then have the rest of your game really consistent.
Got it.
And we'll see what happens. I think he could still win if he did that though.
Right.
Like, he doesn't have to try to keep hitting at 300. I mean, in certain situations.
He still got it though,
Zach
man.
Johnson won the Masters and never hit a par 5 in two.
Yeah, he laid up on every par 5
and made like more birdies than anyone ever.
Yeah,
like, and that's the whole idea. Just utilize your skills, with what you can work with.
Yeah, and I think we're going to start to see that where his distance is going to drop down a little bit.
Right,
but he still knows how to play golf. He can still navigate his way around the course.
Change.
So, it's exciting though. I mean, I know we're like sitting here nitpicking Tiger Woods, like what the heck, but I mean, that's who we are. Like we nitpick everything.
It's actually easy once you actually understand the entirety of what we're talking about.
Yeah, like we're trying to, we just like to analyze it and see like, oh, maybe he could be doing this or this. But we're obviously nitpicking. I mean, talking about the best players in the world. But like we said in a couple episodes ago, like if we were teaching these guys, this is how we would be talking to them.
Right.
So, Riviera is just a gorgeous course, and I'm excited to watch golf. Golf's starting to ramp up. And with that, we're going to really give you some good information today on just the advantages of the proper like hand placement, getting the stronger grip, why we like the strong grip. The theme of really today's entire podcast is that golf is a sidearm sport or sideways sport, however you want to think about it. But Ben Hogan coined this very famously back in the day of like imagining like you're skipping a rock and really having like 3 right arms and 3 right hands. And he just wants you to be able to just control the trail side of that club and trail side of your body to perfection.
Right.
And that's really what we're trying to get people to do. That's why we have our 3-point process of how to activate the trail hand and trail arm so that you can control it and place it on the club properly. So today we're really just going to talk about the functional unit and how getting the proper functional unit gives you the best chance to swing on like the sideways or sidearm angle. Right. So, and then we're going to talk about some hot takes later of how the strong grip is the best grip to create speed because it gets it more in your fingers. And we got a lot of cool stuff planned. So, enjoy the episode. And we're going to really hopefully help you out with understanding why the strong grip is the best way to swing the golf club.
That's right.
So when people think like, okay, how do I swing on a sidearm, sideways angle? What's the best way to kind of go about this?
So the first thing is when you look at tour players, they all have a functional trail hand and arm like movement throughout their swing. Placement, address with their grip to the club and to their lead hand. And then throughout the swing, they utilize that the best they can. But the best players in the world get their lead hand and their trail hand matching up better to work in a sense as a more functional unit to where again they're all basically when we say functional unit it means that the lead hand and the trail hand are basically both working the same way and direction together as like one.
Got it.
So
they're like a team.
That's right, because when we think about like a weak grip, the lead thumb is more vertical on the club, even more towards trail side, and then we bow underneath. This doesn't work in tandem with this action of the trail hand and arm.
Oh, got it.
So if we work them together by instead of taking lead thumb and pointing it more vertical or towards,
what do you mean it doesn't work? Like
it doesn't work in tandem as much because
it's harder.
The lead hand, if we get it stronger, instead of lead thumb being vertical, if I get my lead hand over the top here, my trail thumb is basically now in like the same direction and unison like to each other towards the 45
to get on the sidearm sideways
like when we
angle.
think about this action with the trail wrist, this is what we need to do: lag and then properly release, right?
Okay, got it.
It's like the lead hand being stronger, more on top, so lead thumb more on that, we'll say like trail side of the club opposed to like vertical, right? So then trail hand too, so my seams and my V's are going more at my trail shoulder. Now if I basically allow the club head to go in that general direction,
got it,
my hands can now work together in unison. So when I come down, there's like an equal amount almost of extension lead wrist or cup and in the trail wrist.
Got it. Okay. So they're just like a mirror image of each other,
there's
basically.
Max extension with both, opposed to with a weak grip, you have flexion with lead and then extension with trail. And then with a neutral grip, it's like flat with the lead and then, max extension with trail.
Got it.
So
okay.
Always max extension with the trail wrist is so important because of the ways the trail arm has to bend in the swing and how the trail arm is used.
Okay.
To basically fuel how the lead hand and arm serve as like a pivot point in the swing. So if we just go through this, we'll go through the strong grip. So we have the club straight out in front.
Yeah, so we'll go through this like so the lead thumb on top trail side of the club, right?
Top trail side, got our proper pinch.
You're really, I mean, when you put that lead hand on, how are you putting it? You're like curling your fingers like around it, like.
So when we think about the 3-point process of like how we get our claws, right? So we have our proper pinches, our extension. So from there, we're trying to place basically from the index pad to the pinky pad.
Got it.
Placement on the handle, and then it rests right here in our pinch or our notch. Okay. Then we're just going to wrap our claws, like our curls of our claws, around the handle. Okay. But what we're trying to do is when we get that basic function, we're trying to put it more on top of the club to where this seam or this V is pointing again at trail shoulder, not like that.
Okay.
Because the more it goes more towards the side of the club, like over here, the more it's going into your palm. So if you get it more in your fingers, it naturally is going to be able to wrap.
Got it. And then when it's more in the palm, that's not as good of a pivot point. Got it.
And the reason why is because when the club is more in your fingers, you have more control of the club, like the handle of the club. Okay, because your fingertips are basically wrapped around the club more so.
Got it.
Opposed to when you have it in the palm, lobster claws. It's I mean, you feel it in your hands, but it feels like you have to grip it tight to move it and to keep stability. When you get in your fingers, it's like, oh, I barely feel like I have a grip of the club in a sense, but I feel like now I can really be mobile and control, and I can feel it more because it's in the fine tips of like the fingers where you have like your sensitivity. Your palms are not sensitive.
Right. It all goes back to the spring effect. Yeah. We're trying to create a spring effect.
Trying to lever the club head up and back and around the handle.
Correct.
Lag it from there and then release it down and around the handle.
Right. But you don't get the spring effect when it's in your palm, do you?
Not as much. You have to create it more in a sense like yourself.
Because you're not getting the natural rotational
speed. You have to try to create that, manufacture it with your body. So when you see these elite athletes on the PGA Tour, John Rahm, Dustin Johnson,
Morikawa,
they can do the bowed wrists and stuff. They're just physically gifted and talented enough to be able to move their body fast enough to escalate like this hand movement. But for most golfers, they cannot get the ball airborne enough or understand how to control the relationship of their hands. Like, just make it easier, right?
Yeah.
Get them working in the same direction. In a sense,
it's
right?
Funny,
it's like on the 45, and then just ride it.
We always hear it's like, well, what about like Morikawa and all these guys that are in like top 10 players in the world that are using a weak grip and a bow? It's like, don't use that as like your determining factor of whether or not grip you should use. Like,
no,
that's
absolutely
the worst
not.
way to go about it.
Yeah.
Like,
because I mean, realistically, again, like we talk about, we're playing a sidearm or sideways sport.
Yes.
And so the key thing is that we get a maximum amount of energy stored up in the club head in the backswing, like the lever. We lag that.
Yes.
And we properly release it down the line. The classic saying, what does down line mean? Parallel, like down the line, sideways, basically.
Got it. Okay.
So that's where most people screw up, is that we're staying sideways to the ball, right? In a sense to the target too. And then from there, we're trying to release and like basically get the club working on like these parallel lines. And that's what makes it so hard because naturally for most people, they tend to open up their stance, open up their alignment of their body, and then play the fade more because in their idea, they're almost facing the target more naturally with their body at address. And in their head, they think that's more control. But almost like putting your back to the target and aiming your toes and your body a little more close, swinging to the right of your target 45 degrees with the club. In a sense, it's super scary, but you'd be amazed how the ball will actually start right and come back to the target more effectively and go a lot further.
Right.
That's the weird part about golf. Is it's like all the things that should, like, you wish they were comfortable and easy, they're not.
They're not. No.
And so that's why we're doing what we're doing to
Nothing
make this
is comfortable,
somewhat possible and achievable.
I always tell my students, like, golf is a game of opposites.
Totally.
Like, what you feel like you're doing is
natural
actually happening.
Is not.
Like, if you're swinging to the right, then that's technically like straight. Like, there's all these kind of opposites in golf. But yeah, so I like what you just said there with when you're trying to swing down the line is really like we say a lot to our students, to the right of the target. Like, so relative to the flag, it's like 5 to 10 yards right of the flag sometimes.
And when we think of down line, so if we have our club here straight out in front of us, we'll say belly button high,
Yeah.
right?
So it's
Just
basically like that.
So when the club shaft gets parallel to the ground like this, that's
Correct.
down the line technically.
Exactly.
We want to get the butt end 5 inches or so outside trail leg at that point with
Correct.
width. But
Mhm.
this club action of like club face relationship relative to handle is the key. If the handle goes in more, club head will not pivot around fast enough.
Got
We've
it.
talked about that. That's why, you know, people slice and block and have lacks of distance, right?
Yes.
And then if the handle's going out too much and the club head can't come around fast enough, then there
Yeesh.
can also be the same kind of problems as well, like blocking,
Correct.
you know, then trying to manipulate hands. But what we're trying
These
to
are
give you is
all
the
effective
perfect
moves.
move. Exactly.
Nice.
It's like we basically just get the club back on its first parallel
Got it.
and then release it on the parallel
Got
like
it.
this.
So what you were saying there with the setup, and I really liked how you said this, is that when people are open to the target and they feel like they're facing the target, is that trail arm is really almost like on top of the lead arm. And we never want that, do we? We want the trail arm to be the underarm and the lead arm to be the on top arm.
Well,
right?
the reason is because it makes more sense of like when you think about
Sideways.
where's impact, right? What's the relationship of the arms when we get to the proper like pre-impact position and then at post? So here's address. Again, if we get that proper trail hand placement. So when I get
Right.
the lead arm, like we get that proper pinch, the notch, we turn over the 25 degrees
Yep.
with lead hand arm. That rotates this arm internally like this. So now from here, when I go to bring the trail hand arm on, we talk about like getting the pinch, get the finger extension back, get 45 degrees of external, and then bring the trail palm onto the lead thumb knuckle like this.
Got it.
Then bring on pinky pad here to then trail index pad. And that's why the pinch is so important because it helps to align that. If I have no pinch, lobster claw,
Yeesh.
it gets above the index pad and gets more up into here
And then
into
that
the
affects
lobster
this,
pinch.
and then
It's
this
like we're not
starts
trying
to-
to snap the shaft here with our lobster claw.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it again more out here into
In
our
our
fine tip, you know,
Yes.
like, you know, ideas of like where we feel control, and that's where speed comes from.
Correct. But this relationship here, I do this all the time with my students. I'll take a club
Yeah.
and I'll put it like right here so they feel how
So
that
you're right.
trail arm is
Right.
under.
Right.
Love that feeling.
Right.
Yeah.
Because from there, like, again, getting back to this pre-impact, the trail arm should be bent underneath the lead arm at
Yep.
pre-impact when the club is parallel
Still
here,
got
like
that
this.
relationship.
Right.
Yep.
So it's like taking like my trail hand arm
Mhm.
from its neutral position, getting 45 degrees of external, flexing fingers down clouds. Like here's where we're at pre-impact. We're basically trying to bring that on at address.
Oh, that's
The
cool.
same feeling. It's like now we got takeaway. Here's pre-impact. Now trail arm goes from bent straight. Trail wrist stays in extension as well as lead hand staying in extension. And then we properly allow the club head to work around back to its, you know, perfect again.
Right.
Parallel position here.
At-
Post impact down the line.
Down the
And when you
line.
talked about the 45, you can try to direct the club head out to where you try to leave it 45 degrees. Like, so if here's down the line, that's, we'll say that's 90.
Yeah.
45 degrees to right field, in a sense for right-handed golfers, like this.
And typically that's just accomplished
Well,
by
the
just
reason
getting
is
the setup
you're
right.
trying to keep the club behind you longer.
Correct.
And try to deliver it more outward when it strikes the ball.
Correct.
It's like ping pong.
Yeah.
Trying to impart top hand or like right to left top hand spin
It's
on
like
the ball.
It's like your ping pong serve.
Exactly. Yeah, right.
We
It
got to
is
show you this
wicked.
ping pong serve
But
sometimes.
the
It's
idea
pretty
though is
wild.
that it's this gear effect.
Right,
Understanding like the ball's in the middle of it, right? But it's like trying to get more of this action,
Correct.
right?
So I had somebody asked us the other day, is the trail arm bent at impact? Because we say it goes from bent to straight from
The
pre-impact
trail arm
to
is
impact.
bent at pre-impact.
Correct.
So
and then at
we'll say
impact-
this. We try to make it simpler for people, okay?
Yes.
Because you look at some tour players and some might start to extend their trail arm a little bit more than some.
Yeah.
That might stay more
Right.
tucked. Like in my opinion, I loved the example of JB Holmes.
Oof.
If you really want a guy to look at that has maximum distance,
So
and he's
much.
he's a stocky guy, but he's not a tall guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And hit the ball as far as anyone ever. And look at his pre-impact position. When the club head is parallel to the ground right here, his trail elbow was so externally pinned and driving outward that there is like, I would say 2 or 3 inches of space
Right.
between like his trail tricep and his chest
And
and,
it-
his stomach.
yeah.
And it keeps that distance all the way to the like inside of lead leg, like we talk about with the butt end.
Yeah.
And then he would like let the trail arm finally extend. And that's the idea, is that the earlier you extend the trail arm, in a sense, even if you're keeping the proper push pull and you're
Yeah.
doing all these things, you're actually minimizing your potential speed you could create. Because realistically in golf, there's 3 parallel things. got the takeaway. Club is parallel to the club head is parallel to the handle relative to like our toe line.
Yes.
Okay. We get back there at pre-impact. The only difference from takeaway to pre-impact is the butt end's
width.
moving more outward in the takeaway, 5 inches outside. Now it's to the inside of lead leg. Now from here, the butt end is, you could think of it this way. It's going to go from the inside of my lead leg to the outside of my lead leg with the butt end. But while that happens, the club head's going to go from here parallel to there parallel.
Yeah.
So it's like the handle's only going this far and the club head's going like this.
That's crazy for people.
Right.
Yeah.
Or we can even say even more perfect like that. Down, out,
if you really want to see it all happening.
Down, out, and around.
But at impact, when you're making that divot, and we talk about like what creates a perfect divot, the trail arm is slightly bent at impact to support
the heel leading the toe. That's the first like point of contact to the ball and the ground.
Correct.
The heel should be leading always, and then the toe relative to it. Like you'll never hit a good shot in golf if the toe is actually ahead of the heel. The handle and the heel have to be moving at a certain rate driving forward from that point to be able to support this. But
good luck with
that's
that.
really tough.
Yeah.
So the idea is that the heel has to lead first, because you think about a divot. The width of a divot is really from the grooves from the heel here to like where the toe grooves come in. There's like 2 lines that you look at in every glove place, right? It's like the grooves don't go all the way to the hosel and they don't go all the way out to the toe. This is the divot. We're trying to get the heel here to this toe part on the ground, constant and scraping. And even with driver, even though that doesn't actually happen because of the address, tweaks of tilt, ball position, you're trying to do the same thing with the driver. You're trying to actually scrape the ground behind the ball so that the driver shaft, the way it's built, is properly going to basically catapult the club head in the proper upward and, we'll say sideways direction to optimize your launch and spin.
So to be able to support this club face when you're making the proper divot,
it all comes from handle. So it's like when you think about heel lean toe, first relationship direct handle forward of club head.
Yes.
If club head's, had a handle,
toast.
I mean, even if the heel does lead, it doesn't matter. You have so much added loft and the contact's going to suck.
Yep.
Like, it's not going to work.
True.
So it's like support the heel, leading the toe first, handle forward to club head. Then from there, the placement of the heel to the toe from here, which is from like dimples, we'll say the golf ball, okay, is basically being struck, like the inside part of the ball. We talk about the inner quadrant, right? So in a chair, it's kind of hard to imagine this, but the ball's here. And it's like we're trying to basically get like the inside part of the club face here, striking his inner quadrant. And then from like the toe, it's like once we get this part of like the outer part towards the toe of the club face, like 3/4 of it to the ground, that's when dimples is launched. Then from there, this last little quarter from like this outer part, like the, we'll say the very outer part of the toe to just inside, that will be struck after dimples is basically being struck. And when you think about what controls that, it's that trail index finger. That's where the pressure's applied.
Yes.
So it's like when you hit the golf ball, really only up to about your middle finger of your right pad pressure. Like we have all of the lead hand pressures, of course, right? And then up to about, again, that middle finger, maybe even index finger. Those are like the only pressures being applied when you think about pressure being applied against the side of the handle.
Yes.
And how the heel is squishing that inner quadrant of the ball.
Got it.
So basically, once the heel to the toe is square, we'll say, right? Now we want to scrape for approximately 3 to 6 inches, depending on the club you're hitting.
Got it.
Like shorter clubs, longer divot.
A little longer divot. Yep.
But basically what that means is you have to have constant heel to toe pressure.
Which means you got to have
which is why you have to have
here.
Perfect claws. You have to activate the ability to keep the club against the knuckle pads, and then support keeping that while taking the divot.
Right.
And when you do that, it's amazing. Like the first time you actually squish a golf ball,
it's
and you
addicting.
feel like ball ground contact, it's like,
truly
wow,
addicting.
the divot flies. We call it like a little beaver pelt. It's kind of cool.
Right.
Like it's like a little strip,
It is.
It's cool. It's like if you take a perfect one, you could like take it home and put it in your
Mount
yard
it.
and be like, yeah, look at this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome.
Put it on a
But-
frame.
right. And in one of our videos too, we'll explain to you when you get on a range and you start taking proper divots, how to take the proper divot pattern, because the we'll say like all the
shotgun pattern and like with the splatter shots everywhere.
Yeah, you want to understand how you're not trying to just rip up grass everywhere.
Yes.
You want to, the superintendents will
They'll
really
thank
appreciate
you.
this. Right.
Yeah.
Because we have to hit the ground. We have to take up turf, right?
Right.
But we have to understand how and why it's important, right?
So I like what you just said there, where you said something really key, and I want to talk about it a little more, is that when you said with the claws, you're trying to keep your knuckle pads like firmly pushing against the side of the handle so you can control that heel to toe relationship and control the club face when it hits the ground, because it's going to like vibrate and move around.
There's gear effect.
So there's that gear effect. So like, again, the advantage of the claws. But what I like, what we were talking about this earlier today, about how when you curl your fingertips, you're almost like curling the like handle of the club into your pads. And I thought that was like a really cool way to think about it, right? Like if you took your club just like this, with just finger extension, the way that you swing it is really just curling your fingertips like this. So then that like basically like molds the pads to the handle.
The curls are pressing the grip basically into your pinch.
Right,
pad.
Yeah, exactly. Correct.
So into your pinch and your pinky pad.
Yes,
so that's what the goal of the curls is. So that's why I can take a club like this, just one hand, take it back, release it.
Correct.
No problem. No problem with mobility control. But you couldn't like pull the club out of my hands. Like I have a good grip of it, but I'm fully functional because I have it in my curls against my knuckle pads.
Correct.
Like this,
and
opposed
again, curls
to
are
getting
this.
up into my pads, lobster claw on this, and it's like, I mean, even if I try to get it like, there's no direction.
No way.
You can't even do it.
Yeah. And, I was actually just thinking this too. When we talk about hitting the ball off the knees, with a weak grip, that's almost impossible to do.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're right, though.
Like, that'd be a good experiment to do.
You can, though. Like,
yeah,
but
you can, but it's
just
much harder.
You have to have more torso rotation, basically. So even when you're on your knees, take your lower body out, which it requires more of that too. It also requires more actual torso rotation to support the face. Opposed to if you took a strong grip and just went, you wouldn't even have to barely move your torso. It's almost more just reacting to the club, and you could still catapult the ball off your knees, I would say, further and more effectively than you can with that
would be
grip.
like the only test you would really need to ever do to show like how much more distance you can get with
the
a stronger
effective energy
grip.
relative to the sternum, because we're sitting in the chair and that's what we're about.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, we're gonna do like a golf league where you're hitting like foam balls like on little tees or whatever with your compact clubs.
Yeah, right.
Like you're just like sitting in your chair, like boom, and just see how far you can hit it. Because that'd be kind of cool. We did like a little like long drive contest in your chair with your compact club and a foam ball.
It'd almost be like that little ball that's on like a little wheel, and you'd have like a little podium for it, and it's like you take it back, and boom, when you hit it, it'd like go around, and the more times it goes around gives you more idea.
It's like a tether ball.
Yeah.
Like however hard you like fling that tether ball determines how much it's going to wrap around the pole.
But like, concentrating your pressures against the club and just being able to go from here, the three parallels. Takeaway,
I really think that's a good idea.
And post impact. If you can create speed from here and hit the ball right here in the center and maximize that speed, going back further and follow through further is all like a reaction more so to where the key of the speed is coming in.
I mean, if you just imagine, like this is a really good kind of idea for people to think about, is that if you have your compact club and there's a ball sitting like right here, it's difficult to hit that ball. Because you got to be perfect. You got to be precise. You got to keep that trail arm under, like we're saying.
Right.
You got to feel that trail arm going from bent to straight, keeping that cup. You can't just sit here and just like willy-nilly.
Yeah.
Because it'll also like spin the way it would normally like spin outside too. So that'd be like a really cool training.
I think that's why people have a hard understanding of like when we talk about twisting the club face and the backswing open, they're thinking just rolling the face open. It's like, no. We're concentrating it's a blend, right? We're pushing. We have like down and up movements as well that are blended with the twist, and it happens over a incremental time. We have it all mapped out.
Correct.
But the idea is that and also the roll release, like people coming in thinking, I'm going to try to roll my hands over and try to time closing the face. Be honest, one of the worst things you can ever try to do, and anyone I've ever met that ever tries to close the face coming into the ball,
doesn't work.
I mean, they might have a few good rounds every now and then, but they're never a consistent golfer.
Right.
Right. So
Because they're fighting the gear effect.
Yeah, you can't time that.
No.
Like, there's too many variables.
Yeah.
Like, everything at pre-impact, I mean, to be honest, your top position should set you up to where all you have to do is basically drive the butt end of the club down and out at your target line until pre-impact.
Yep.
And just keep maintaining your proper push and stretch pressures from there to post-impact. And the gear effect that you've already created should take care of itself.
Correct. And the awesome thing about everything that we're talking about here is that the strong grip and the hands being on the side of the handle makes all of these tasks that we're trying to accomplish in the swing and at impact way easier. Like we're saying, we want the heel to be leading the toe at impact. Okay, well, lead thumb on the side of the club keeps the club behind the handle longer, which then allows you to keep the heel leading the toe if you get the proper twist and everything we're talking about with the blend. So there's one fix right there, right? A stronger grip also allows you to lever it up more because you're able to push down on the butt end of the club more. It's like all these things that we say like, okay, we're trying to do this, trying to get the proper pre-impact position here. Okay, well, you're almost kind of starting there by getting the proper grip with the hands on the side of the club, right? If you're more on top, you got to do some kind of manipulation to get to that pre-impact position. So you're just accomplishing all the tasks in the golf swing by getting the strong grip. So the big key is just really making sure that, I mean, we're on the side of the handle so we can push on the side of the handle to support the proper kind of pre-impact, impact, and post-impact. So we can get the proper quadrant of the ball, so we can get that proper forward shaft lean, heel leading the toe. All this stuff is made easier with the strong grip. And that's a really good segue into when we're talking about what creates the most speed, hot takes. Okay, the big hot take that we have today, and we've kind of already, it's teed up, it's ready to be hit out of the park.
That's right.
Is that the strong grip and having the club more in your fingers is the easiest way to create speed and get distance in your golf game.
And we're not saying like grip it just in your fingertips like that where it's away from your knuckle pads. We're trying to say it has to be in the pads. And the key to getting into the pads is really just making sure you have your pinch. So it's like you're trying to line your pinky pad to your pinch pressure. Okay. And that's it. So it's just like we're trying to get the club to rest in our hand like that from the viewer standpoint. Okay.
Got it.
So when we put it on the club, it's like this. And then that's it. So it's like you get your fingerprint of your lead thumb properly on that trail side of the club. Get your pinch here. That will align the index pad. And then from there, pinky pad is again on top of the club, secure. And then when we bring the trail hand on, we've got our external, extension, trail palm, lead thumb. And then we have, like we talked about, we go from the pinky pad all the way to the index pad to the pinch. And then there we go. Yeah. Perfect lead hand, trail hand, control.
So why is that going to give you more speed?
More effective is because both hands and pinches are basically working or able to work in the same direction throughout the swing, meaning that because they're both pointing more towards trail shoulder, more towards the 45, as I set the club back, we have an equal amount of extension with lead wrist and equal with the trail. So basically, a stronger grip has max extension with both hands throughout the swing. Max gear effect. If I have a weak grip, I have a neutral lead and then the perfect, strong.
Yeah.
Like trail, right? And then from there, it's like I have to flex this back and then try to extend this back.
And then how are you going to get the gear effect from there?
It's harder physically for people because, again, you're getting minimal speed with the hands and arms to the club.
Yeah.
And you have to maximize your speed with your body and your torso.
Got it.
And honestly, for the majority of golfers out there, even myself included, and I'm only 34, I've just been a lot of body injuries, but it's like, I want more club speed naturally.
Me too.
And not having to try to use my body so much to try to create it.
Right.
That's it.
That's what everybody should be striving for, is that you don't have the ability to hit thousands of golf balls like Colin Morikawa and John Rahm.
And other than DeChambeau, I have really never seen a competitive long driver with a weak grip.
Me either.
Everyone's strong. I know. Look at Kyle Berkshire. Perfect pinches.
Perfect
strong grip. Yep. It's like literally taking Cameron Smith and making him a long driver. Just even grow his hair out a little longer and make him like a few inches taller.
Yeah.
And bigger. But I mean, that's really it though.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
But it's all about really understanding that at pre-impact, they're trying to get the club to be up and back of the handle as much as humanly possible so they can transfer as much energy into that inner quadrant of the ball so then it can get the proper basically release around the handle from pre-impact to post-impact. That's where the speed's coming in. You want to max it out, get the club head behind you as much as possible at pre-impact, and then whip it out to the right of the target as much as possible. That's where speed is.
Yeah, we talked about the 45. And so again, here's like the takeaway,
Right.
pre-impact, here's parallel down the line, here's the 45.
Right.
And again, we're trying to sometimes think of that to try to keep the club head more behind the hand so that it allows the club head to more naturally catapult outward.
Which is more speed.
It's not a natural reaction though.
Right.
Like this is something that has to be learned. Nothing when it comes to the secrets of golf comes natural. And we want our people to realize that too, that if you're feeling something, like let's say you got your compact club and you're like, okay, this is cool. I got my claws. That's cool and all. But like you go back and you're like, this feels really weird. It's like weird has to be good as long as it can become like understandable, right? It's like, okay, like I know I'm in the right spot. My claws are perfect. The club's perfect. Whatever this weird feeling feels like is actually what I'm trying to strive for.
Correct.
And then after a few more reps, all of a sudden that becomes more comfortable.
Correct.
And you'll never see a faster change or improvement in your game if you can just do it right here in your chair.
Yes.
And you can see it and you can feel it, because slow motion practice with awareness right here, bringing it all in. Fastest way to play this crazy game with a longer club in a sideways format, because again, all it comes down to is getting this basic idea of takeaway, pre-impact, and post-impact right.
Exactly.
Start from there, your game will escalate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we're going to do the dimples like floating right here and hitting him and seeing how well people can do that. See how hard you can hit that ball, how square can you get it. Then from there, you're just imagining that ball is just dropping down to the ground as you drop to the ground. It's like almost like tethered to you.
Sure.
You
sure.
know, it's like if you had a lanyard and the golf ball was like right out here and just like floating and you're just like, boom. And then you bend forward. Now that ball's right on the ground and you just make that same swing essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your club just extends down, obviously, because compact club doesn't really get to the ground.
Right.
It's a little smaller, but that's just really good visuals for people. That's what the compact club is really just allowing for people to just understand, like, how am I swinging on this sidearm sideways angle? And like we're saying,
and trying to maximize your speed effectively, like harnessing the energy, like from the claws and let's say this, the functional unit to the handle, to the club head, trying to create a proper amount of torque with leverage properly with the claws to the handle, and then doing the same. So it's, again, we always say this, but whatever your claws are doing, they are in direct relationship to what the handle and the club face is doing.
Correct.
And what they do is in direct relationship to your plane, and that is in direct relationship to what your ball does, where dimples goes.
Yes.
So understanding this,
start
like,
here.
It's like, there's so many things, like there's so many deals. We call it like 2 for 1s, 3 for 1s, 4 for 1s, 5 for 1s.
10 for 1.
I mean, literally, like if you get the proper claws, you're fixing like we'll say this, like you got your hand placement already pre-activated for what you need to do. So that's like, you know, a lot of it. Then we got the arms properly connected. That's a lot of it. You're going to have a better chance to address the ball properly with proper distance and handle positioning. Another one. And then your shoulder and like arm and lower body alignment's going to have a better chance to be properly squared up or properly, let's say, a little bit close to the target.
Hit the inside of the ball.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll say you have a better chance to align to striking the inner quadrant of the ball relative to your target.
Which is the secret.
Another one. Which means that you're more on the 45. Another one.
Perfect.
Which also, if you have a little bit of our presets, which we're going to talk about with the body left and a little bit close, then you even control your attack angle, your path to face ratios, which then from address, if you just move the ball a little bit, like you can take the driver out and do all that, which means you're optimizing, like your launch, your speed, your distance, like, it's like you get like the claws and the functional unit working for you to the club. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it
just unlocks your entire
all
golf
these
swing.
deals. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It really unlocks your swing.
But that's the problem, is that people are seeking more of the deal and they're not understanding where the deal comes from.
Correct.
It's like they don't even have the coupon.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I'm just going to do this magic move where
I'm going to get the club to do this, but they don't have the claws to actually cause if you don't have proper claws and you just try to get the club to do a certain thing,
it won't work.
It does not work. We have proven it.
Yeah, we've tested it and,
ourselves. With a lot of people, not work. And
you're just making golf harder than it needs to be. Like, get the stronger grip, get your claws, understand how to apply the proper pressure to the handle so the club does what it's supposed to do, your swing does what it does, and the ball does what it needs to do. it's really not as hard as you think it is.
Yeah. Simplifies the club.
You just have to
and
go.
the plane.
You just have to be disciplined and really just understand, like, hey, it might look crazy when we do these crazy things with our hands, with finger extension, curls, pinches, and then driving them into each other, where you almost try to feel like your pads are like molding into each other, and then curl your fingertips. These are like the secrets. So if you just have the discipline and you just really go through the process, you'll be amazed on what it does for your game. So,
Right.
Yeah, just open your mind up. And I mean, we're 26 episodes in. 22 on video, and we got all the other ones on just audio. But yeah, it's like, it's all there. We're giving you the pieces. Just put them together.
Yeah.
With our membership and everything that we're doing now, we're really going to start to see things escalate, because now we're going to have some testimonials, and we're going to, like, people are really going to see, like, hey, we know what the heck we're talking about. And
Right.
this is what's happening. So yeah, we got a lot of exciting content coming. Starting to warm up here in Michigan. We'll be outside very, very soon.
Yep.
We got a lot of ball flight content we want to start doing. We want to start talking more about hitting the inner quadrant of the ball,
Right.
the benefits of that. Jonathan's like really excited to work on some short game stuff with you guys.
Yep.
So yeah, we're just getting started. Like, we have like a plethora of information that we want to kind of get out to everybody. So if you haven't joined the membership, go join the Clawthoria Club. I'll link it in the bottom. You get a free compact club if you join.
That's right.
Free shipping, everything. So in the U.S. only for right now. We'll expand as we kind of keep.
We're going to be growing more, so we
bigger.
just need more of a customer base. And but
for
just
sure.
Understand again, like we said,
a free compact club.
But the thing is, this thing will literally change your game if you understand the value of it and you watch our videos and you truly dive into it. I'm telling you, I've taught golf for a lot of years to a lot of people, and if I had this tool, it would have really
changed everything.
I mean, it would have been so helpful. So get one of these, change your own game, and keep up with us. We're about to launch a lot of stuff, and we're not going to be taking any more real, like, any breaks, like, in a sense, like, as far as like from podcasts. We're going to keep every week, you know, to keep evereverybody going. We just had a lot going on.
We did have a lot going on with the website
going,
and the Compact Club launch and the Clawthoria Club launch, and it's been a lot of work, but we're
hyped about this
stuff.
Yeah,
and we're getting a lot of great reception. So thank you to all the support we've been getting. Obviously, it means the world to us. We can't really state that enough. And we just feel like we have a huge responsibility to this game with everything that we've learned. We have a responsibility to help out everybody that's struggling.
That's why we're doing this. We can't do it for no reason.
No, exactly. we truly care about everybody. We truly want to help people.
Really.
And that's why we're doing this. And thanks for joining the journey. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening. Links are all on the bottom. And we'll catch you next time. Thanks.